Hi everybody. So for this presentation I decided to do a little bit of work involving the First Amendment. I think the reason why I was drawn to the First Amendment in the first place was the work that we've done recently involving the life of Thomas Jefferson, particularly his gravestone at Monticello, and how one of the primary accomplishments of his life, according to him, was his work involving freedom of religion in the state of Virginia. So, seeing as Thomas Jefferson has been one of the sort of central characters to this course, I believe this amendment in particular is relevant to our course and our moving forward in the course, more so necessarily than say the illegally quartering of soldiers, which I believe is the Fourth Amendment. Certainly was relevant at the time with respect to British colonial actions before the American Revolution, certainly close to everybody's mind, but I think the First Amendment is certainly a bit more central to the American ideal than several of the amendments following after in the Bill of Rights. Now, the First Amendment basically guarantees the right to free speech, freedom of religion, etc. Basically, the freedom to assemble, and I think that sort of idea that you can say or do sort of whatever is central to the theme of America. It's one of the major themes of America. Now, obviously that's been sort of a consistent topic in this course, but as I said, just because it was written in the post-revolutionary period, recently after freedom from Britain, as some amendments don't necessarily apply as well in the modern day, such as the quartering of soldiers in civilian homes. I can't imagine that happening, and I live near a National Guard base. It's a huge establishment. Like I said, I can't imagine something like that happening. It's not really as applicable. Important that it is noted, but I don't think it's necessarily as relevant. So basically, a few things though to note with the First Amendment. There's been limitations set on it through court cases, legally throughout the country. Now, one sort of almost a repudiation of this anything goes mentality that several people kind of seem to hold with respect to the First Amendment. It's happened in sort of several cases, but one of the most well cited I found was a case called Neer versus Minnesota, in which the Supreme Court not only interpreted the First but also the 14th Amendment. It prohibited actions because of imminent danger to the public. So basically, the legal system of the United States has an opportunity to hold hold back or rescind the First Amendment based on notable and imminent danger to the public. Sort of a valid rule in my mind. If you go out and you're purely stirring up a riot or something along those lines, then really I'm not sure that's what the Founding Fathers would have intended the First Amendment to be used for. Although there is a gray area there, because were there sort of a tyrannical government, they could use this precedent as a sort of legitimization of putting down public expression involving, say, political candidates or the government, whomever it may be at that time. So there's sort of a double-edged sword to this, and I suppose we can put our faith in the legal system of the United States to maintain the American people's freedom. Now, there was another case called Evans versus Selma Union High School District of Fresno County. Now, this happened out in California. In this case, there was It was a public school which held versions of the Bible, specifically the New King James Version, in their library, and there was a court case involving whether or not these copies should be removed. And in the end, they did not remove these copies because it was ruled that the New King James Bible was not necessarily a partisan or denominational work. It was sort of ruled that it could be used as as many of the founding fathers used the Bible, not so much for doctrine, but certainly for its moral and ethical value. So it was allowed to be kept within this high school. I'm sure it's still there, but I think that, yeah, public funds shouldn't be used for the exercise of a particular religion. But I think that in that case, in this certain court case, it's sort of that precedent is set that just because something may be used for religious purposes doesn't necessarily mean, in this case, there's not an educational value or there isn't a sort of value to society of that publication. So I've run over a little bit here again, but I just wanted to say before I go, I've really enjoyed reading your guys' posts, reading everyone's posts, and going along with you guys in the course. And I wish you guys all the best luck at Liberty, and God bless. Thank you. Bye-bye.